I love that sound. Alright, we're going to do the Shimano Curado DC. We're going to do some greasing and oiling of the bearings and the gears. You're going to need to put a piece of tape on your spool there. That's going to come out. Let's start with the tools we need. A Q-tip. You start off with a Q-tip, 10mm socket, or wrench if that's all you have. Cup. Put all your small parts in. You're going to want some fine nose tweezers, or just some tweezers if that's all you have. Small Phillips head screwdriver, small flathead screwdriver, some real grease, and some gear oil. Bearing oil, sorry, some bearing oil. This is the bearing oil that came with the Shimano reel. If you don't have any of that, you can run out and grab some of this Ardent reel butter. That stuff works pretty good. I've used that before. Alright, so again, start off, you put on a piece of tape and get your spool off here. Open this up to where it says open. And you slide this open. This bad boy pops up. Let's take that out and put that to the side. Alright, there's a bearing inside here. There. So I've already geared and oiled this one. I'm just gonna use this one as an example to show you guys, but you take your oil and you put a drop on the side there, and you put another drop on the side there, and that'll do you good there for that. I'm going to put this door back on, and then click at the number 1 so it doesn't try to reopen. Alright, here we go. So, I'm going to start by taking off this arm here. There's a little screw right here. I use the flathead because you get a little bit more torque. Trick to it is you want to push down hard while you're trying to spin at the same time. So there we go. And I'll show you here in just a second why. As you can see, they use some form of Loctite or something on their screws. Alright, there's a little plastic one here. A little plastic part there that's gonna pop off there. What that does is it keeps this nut from backing out. That's where your 10mm comes in. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Lefty gonna go loose. You can take this nut off. I hold the whole device like so. Gives me a little bit more. There we go. Start that. Get that off. Put that in the cup. I move my fingers from the arm to the actual drag star itself. It's always a good idea to try to keep tension on these drag stars. Some of these drag stars will have a spring in here that tries to push everything out. This one doesn't have that. It does, but it doesn't. You're just gonna have to want to unscrew it. And it's got a spring in there, see? Alright, so that's your drag star there. Put that to the side, a little spring here. Put that in the cup. This nut right here has got an indentation in it where that spring sat. You want to make sure that that's facing back up when you put it back on. So we're going to take it off here. Oh, there's also a washer behind it. That washer has got 2 colors on it. There's a gray side and there's a bronze copper looking side. The copper looking side is going to go towards the washers here. The gray side is going to go towards the back of that washer there, the flat side. So we're going to put that like so, put that like so. That's how it came off. And we put it back on the same way. The next ones are the washers. Those washers need to go back on there. They're sitting on there like that. They're kind of got a shape to them where they have to go back on the arm like that. So we'll take them off one by one. We'll put it the way it came off. Flat there like so. And then there's a small little
This might answer your question.
copper washer. Quiet, Alexa. There we go. Plug that. There's a little copper washer here. Take your time. You don't want to mess up these threads. There we go. Put that there the way it came off. All right. Now, let's go ahead and swap this over to the Phillips head. There's 4 screws. Is it 4? 1, 2, 3 on the Curado. 3 that I see. 1, 2, 3. Yo, there's 4. There's always 4. Okay. So we got one. Yeah, take this door back off actually. Put that on open. Take your time. We're not trying to damage anything here either. There we go. Put you over to the side here out of the way. There's a screw in there. Can you see it? There goes one there. You want to put these screws back in the same spot they came out of too, so we'll lay them down on the rag the way they came out. So we got that top screw that came out of there. And the other screw right here. And then there's one down here. Can you see? Yeah, there's one down here. Press down hard on it while you're spinning it and you won't strip it. You don't want to strip the heads of the screws. You have a bad day. There we go. That came off of the bottom one there. Like so. And then we got one behind the thumb. That one that came up from behind the thumb's got like a flat, it's got a flatter head to it, so that's easy to remember which one it came out of. The silver one came out from inside there. All right, now you're gonna want to take your time here because there's some springs underneath here. I believe it's this way. I believe they're right there. I can't remember. Let's see. Take your time. Come up nice and slow. Yeah, the springs are right here. Like that. Put that over to the side. Don't let it slam down. There is a sleeve on the inside of this bearing here. I'll show you here in just a second. Let's take these springs off. Put it in the cup. There we go, so we don't lose them. All right, ain't nothing gonna fall off of there now. Let's go over here, talk about that sleeve I was telling you about. There she is right there. All right, see that sleeve has got some little legs. Those little legs go into this holes right here. There's a hole there and there's a hole there. Right there, like so. What that does is that's your anti-reverse. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that. All right, there is a bearing in here. See those wheels there? So what I do is I'll take oil, put a drop here, flip the whole thing upside down, put a drop inside there where the wheels are, flip it like that, put a drop in there, flip it 180, and put a drop in there like so. Just one drop. Put that over to the, let's go ahead and take your time. Carefully unscrew this one here. Put that down. There's a bearing in there. We'll put a drop there. Put a drop there. This, the threads are very, very fine on it. You want to take your time. Very fine. You don't want to cross thread it. So what I'll do is I'll pop it on there like so. Act like I'm backing it all the way out again. You'll see it. You'll feel it kind of line up. and then you'll feel it pop. Once you're unscrewing it, you'll feel it kind of pop itself back up, and you want to go ahead and start screwing it in nice and slow. You don't want to go all the way down, you just want to get enough on there, because we still got to put our spool back in there. So all right, there we go. All this stuff right here, this is all your drag right here. This is all your drag right there. So very carefully, because this gear here is running up against this gear here. Let's use the Q-tip where you can see a little bit better. Where's the Q-tip at? There it is. Get out of there. All right. Q-tip. All right. Sorry guys, I just realized there's another, she fell out. All right, so this one right here, this little washer right here, copper one, goes on the inside of this bearing here, behind that. We'll show you when that goes back together. So we're gonna keep that with that. Sorry guys. There we go. We'll keep that like so. That goes with that. All right. Back to what we were doing. You're gonna want to very carefully wiggle this back and forth. Very carefully. Get it off that shaft there. There we go. Put that over to the side. There's a, oops, it came off. That's the cover for the top. There's your star. Right back there. There's a carbon fiber washer there for your drag. There goes your gear. And another carbon fiber washer there for your drag. All right, so what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna clean these gears, clean all this stuff up. You're gonna wanna clean this part off, get all the gear off, get all the grease off of this one. You're gonna wanna get all the grease off of your washers, grease off of your star drag, and the cover. And then you're gonna wanna put new grease on. Just a couple dabs on the washers, get those nice and worked in. Same thing with this washer here. You're gonna make sure you put gear, grease all up in your gear here, all through there. What I do is I'll put a little bit on here just to show you. I take grease, I put it on the wheel itself, like so, and then I just dab it into the gears with my fingers like that. And I do that all the way around. There she goes, nice and greased. While we got the grease out, you're gonna want to take a drop of grease, put it on the table there. You'll see why in a little bit. I'll show you why in a little bit when you're putting stuff back together. So we got that all greased up. This part right here, this part right here, and this part right here, those are another grease spots. Those come out. Whole thing comes out like so. Put that down to the side there. All right. There's 2 screws here. 1, 2. Little Phillips head screws. Those are going to come out. One little screw there. One more little screw over here. very carefully wiggle this piece back and forth. It'll pop up. You don't want it to ruin, you don't want to damage that gear there that it rubs up against. Take your time, it comes right up. There is a bearing underneath here. You're gonna put it, can you see it? There's a bearing underneath there. You're gonna put a drop of oil there and a drop of oil there. You're gonna want to grease this entire gear up right here. All right. You're gonna want to grease this gear right here. As you can see, I already got grease on mine. Same thing, you just rub it on the gear itself and dab it in. Once you've done all that, you're gonna put this back together. Take your time. Make sure they line up. There we go. Now, trick to it for these little screws that I use is you put just a little dab of grease on the tip of the screwdriver. And then you take your screw and you put it on the tip there. And if you do it right, she'll hold. Nice and snug, not too tight. A little bit of grease. Another little screw. And she stays. Nice and snug. There we go. Make sure that's all working fine. There we go, nice and smooth. All right, all right. Same thing with this part. You want to make sure this goes back on the same way you took it off. So we'll take it off. We'll lay it down right there. You're going to want to grease all this gear right here. You're also going to want to grease there some gears right there. And then you want to put some grease on the middle shaft there, where this little plastic thing rides on top of. Put that back on. That's going to go back on here. Take your time. There we go. All right. There's a square on this one here. You can see there's a square that lines up with the square on the bottom of the shaft here. Like so. All right. Next comes your washer. Then your gear. Take your time putting this one on. You don't want to damage this one down here. There we go. Put your other drag washer on there. And then this one, if you notice, it's got a raised part on the top and an indentation on the bottom. You want that raised part on the top, like so. If you put it in there upside down, you're not going to get the amount of pressure you need on your drag to work properly. All right, next is going to come those little legs. They got to fit in those little holes there. That's your anti-reverse there. And then we need our little springs. One spring goes there. One spring goes there, like so. Don't go anywhere. You gotta put that washer back in here. Like so. And then very carefully, put this back on top of there. Take your time. No rush. There we go. And she's on. With our Q-tip, you're going to push down on that bearing there that try to come back up on us. There we go. Make sure our anti-reverse is working. Awesome. Very good. Okay. Next is going to come the order of the washers here. So we've got that bearing there. We got a bearing right here. There's always going to be on the Curados, on the DC Curado, there's always going to be a washer before bearing. So we got the copper washer there, goes back on. Don't mess up the threads. So you can there we go. And then don't forget, oh, before we do that, hold on just a second, let's put our screws back in. Yes sir, let's do that. All right. Start with our silver one, put a little grease. Start with our silver one. I guess it doesn't want to work with the bigger screws. It'll work with those small ones though. There we go. Nice and snug, not too tight. You don't want to strip the head. We've got those other two. All right. So that's the flat one there. That flat one is going to go behind the thumb drive there. And then these two are the same size. Yeah. Right? Yeah. All right. That goes there. Yeah, they're the same size, so we're okay, folks. All right, and then that shorter one I realize is the flat one. It's the one that's got the flat head on it. That's gonna go behind the thumb drag there. There we go. Nice and snug. Don't want to strip the heads. Nice and snug. Nice and snug. And the last one is nice and snug. All right. Still got a washer on there, so we're good. And then that's where those washers are going to go back on there like that. So we'll put that on there like so. One, put you on there. Two, let me see if I can show y'all what I'm talking about when I say those things are cut. Can you see that? Let's see. See how they've got like a little, yeah, see how they've got like a little space in between them? Right there. The lighting on, there we go, there you go. Now you can see it better there, there you go. See how it's got that little space right there? Yeah, they sit on there like that. That way you get the proper pressure. And then we got that washer that's got the gray and the copper side. Copper side is going to go towards the washers. Gray side is going to go towards the aluminum. And then this nut goes on there with the indentation going towards the top where the spring sits. Screw it in there. I start screwing, then I put my finger on top here. So that way it doesn't spin. It'll still spin a little bit, but it'll stop it a little bit from doing it. Next will be our spring. We gotta line this up. Push it down, spin it at the same time. Nope. There we go. All right. Oop. There we go. There we go. Now we got that on there. Put your arm on. Next is going to be your little nut. Hold the arm on. Get that started. And remember, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So I'm going to tighten this back up and go to the right. And you don't want to tighten it all the way down yet. And you'll see why here. Tighten that drag down a bit. There we go. Get your little cover. You got to line the cover up. The cover's got like some little star indentations on the bottom that line up with the square of the nut itself. See how it's not sitting flush? So we're gonna just very little by little tighten it down just a little bit more. And you keep doing that until it lines up. Almost there. Almost there. Just a hair more. Just a hair more. There we go. Okay. She'll sit flush now. And the holes line up. Get your last little screw. Oh, we need to swap this back over to the flathead. There we go, nice and snug, not too tight. Put our spool back in, put the cover back on. Now depending on, I keep mine on number 3 because I use fluorocarbon on this reel. And then you got to remember we loosen this all the way up, so you got some play in there. I like to tighten mine up where that play just stops moving back and forth. There we go, we're getting a little wiggle. Still a little bit. Still a little bit. Still a little bit. Nothing. Oh, there's a little bit. Nothing. All right. Make sure our drag goes all the way down. Yep, we're good. Back that off. And we're good to go. You got the bearing, 2 more bearings. You got a bearing here and a bearing here for the handle. So what I do is I'll put a drop in between them right here. And a drop right there in between them. And then I'll work it. Spin it like so. And then I spin it really fast to get any excess out. And that's it, folks. She's ready for another year or so. She'll last another lifetime if you keep doing this every year. Oh, we forgot the worm oil. Oh, we got one more back here we forgot about. So I take my oil and back on this worm gear back here. I'll put a drop of oil here. Move it all the way over. Put a drop of oil on the other side. Move it all the way over. Put a drop in the middle. And then I just work it back and forth for a bit. And I think she's good now. I don't see them. Yep, that's all the bearings, all the gears. So hopefully this helps one of y'all. Any questions, pop them down in the comment section. Give me a like and a subscribe if it helps you out, and hopefully it does. And until next time.
Right, saying nothing but the END. So follow me into the sun and let your soul be free. The END, the END, the END, the END, the END.